Hi, and welcome to week 3 for college algebra. Last week we started with equations, and although I wasn't there on Thursday, so you had to watch the recording, which hopefully you did. Please make sure to watch the recording before Class 5, because Class 5 will build on Class 4. Class 4 was regular equations. Class 5 is going to be dealing with what you get when you deal with equations that have exponents in them. Rather than just saying x equals 7, you say x squared equals 49. Now, some of them are very simple, like x squared equals 49. Some of them are obviously much more complex, and we're going to discuss all about it. And then when we get to class number 6, we're also going to still be looking at equations, but equations with a little bit of a wrinkle thrown in. Something called absolute value, another thing called inequalities. Both relatively easy things, but things that are going to be a little different than from the equations from class 4. And before we start with quadratic equations, which we're going to start with on Tuesday, I want to just maybe give you like kind of a little bit of an overview, what we're going to think about when we look at equations that are quadratic, which have a squared term in them, or a cube term, or a fourth term, basically anything with an exponent. The top is a very simple type of equation. The top you may be able to figure out how to do already. The top you're going to isolate x, and we'll discuss how to do this. Basically, get rid of the 2 by dividing each side by 2, and then you'll have x squared equals 16. Once you have x squared equals 16, you can probably figure out relatively easily how to do that. The bottom one is one that's going to be a little bit more complex. Now, I want you to think about why you cannot do to the bottom one what you could to the top. With the top one, you can just say x squared equals 16 because you're dividing each side by 2, and then you're taking the square root of each side, and then you're going to have x equals, well, in this case it would be plus or minus 4. I want you to think about why you can't do the same thing in the bottom. In the bottom, the problem is you've got two different variable terms. You've got an x squared variable term and you've got an x variable term. Those two things are not combinable, and because they're not combinable, we're going to have to use a different method. And the method we're going to use has to do with factoring, which is why what we learned in class 3 was so important. So I want you to think about that for a couple of minutes, and hopefully we'll be ready to roll with that sort of thinking when we meet in class on Tuesday. And again, if you can come, I certainly encourage everybody to come to the live class. It's a lot easier when you can ask questions, especially in a math class. Thanks.